You know, history is packed with conquerors, right? But how many of them are remembered for actually putting down their swords? Ashoka the Great, he built one of ancient India's most powerful empires, but it's not his victories that make him so unforgettable. No, it's the story of his absolutely radical personal transformation that makes him one of the most fascinating rulers of all time. See, here's the thing about Ashoka. He's known by two completely opposite titles. Early in his life, he was Chand Ashoka. That means Ashoka the Brutal, a guy defined by pure, ruthless conquest. But later, he becomes Dhamma Ashoka, Ashoka the Righteous, a ruler who was all about peace and taking care of his people. So, how can these two totally different people be the same person? And that is the central mystery we're talking about. How does a fearsome tyrant become this revered symbol of peace? A guy whose legacy is so profound, it's literally woven into the fabric of the world's largest democracy today. That's the incredible journey we're about to explore. To really understand the enlightened ruler, you first have to meet the tyrant. So let's trace his ruthless, brutal path to absolute power. Okay, so Ashoka was born into the mighty Mauryan dynasty, which was founded by his grandfather, Chandragupta. But his path to the throne? Oh, it was anything but easy. When his father died, a bloody war for power just erupted among all his sons. Ashoka came out on top around 270 BCE, but his victory was built on a foundation of pure violence. The stories about his rise are just legendary. Now, while scholars debate the exact details, some of the ancient texts claim that to get rid of all his rivals, Ashoka had 99 of his own brothers executed. Just think about that. It paints this chilling picture of a man who would stop at absolutely nothing to get the throne. And his cruelty wasn't just limited to his family. Nope. He reportedly set up a torture prison so horrific that people actually called it Ashoka's Hell. The legends say its design was inspired by the underworld itself. Yeah. This was the guy who earned the name Ashoka the Brutal. So, with his power totally secure, Ashoka just kept doing the family business, relentless expansion. His ambition led him to the prosperous coastal state of Kalinga, for a conquest that was so brutal it would shatter his entire worldview and change the course of his life forever. The Kalinga campaign was, well, it was a military success, but a complete human catastrophe. Ashoka's forces won, but the slaughter was just unimaginable. An estimated 100,000 people were killed in the fighting alone. And the horror didn't even end there. Another 150,000 people were violently ripped from their homes and deported. Countless more died from famine and disease in the aftermath. The entire region was just left in ruins. As the story goes, Ashoka walked through the ruins of Kalinga and was forced to see the devastation he had created. The sight of all that suffering didn't fill him with pride. It filled him with this profound, gut-wrenching remorse. He may be the only king in history to feel grief, not glory, after a conquest. That moment of remorse, it became the turning point. It didn't just stop his conquests. It completely redefined his entire purpose as a ruler. He abandoned the path of the sword and embraced a totally new philosophy to guide his empire. He called this new policy Dhamma. Now, it's more than a religion. Think of it as a moral code for governing. It was inspired by Buddhist teachings, and Dhamma promoted nonviolence, truthfulness, respect, and compassion for all living things. For an empire built on conquest, this was a truly radical vision. And these weren't just empty words. First, he completely renounced conquest. Just stopped. Then he built public works, roads, wells, and even hospitals for both people and animals. He appointed special Dhamma officers, not as spies, but as agents of welfare, whose job was to ensure justice and help families in need. And, remarkably for the time, he guaranteed tolerance and support for all religions across his empire. Ashoka became this tireless advocate for these ideals. He sent Buddhist missions as far as Egypt, Syria, Greece, and Sri Lanka. And it was this royal support that really helped transform Buddhism from a regional philosophy into one of the world's major religions. But how does a vision from over 2,000 years ago still impact our world? Well, because Ashoka didn't just spread his message with words, he carved it into stone, creating a legacy that would endure for millennia. To spread the message of Dhamma, Ashoka put up these massive stone pillars all across his empire. The most famous is the lion capital of Sarnath. Its 4 lions face out in all directions, broadcasting the message of a peaceful empire. not through aggression, but with quiet strength and confidence. Now, fast forward over 2,000 years. When India gained its independence, it looked back to this powerful symbol. In 1950, the lion capital of Ashoka was officially adopted as the national emblem of modern India, a direct link to his vision of a just government. Okay, now look closely at the base of the lions. You'll see a wheel. This is the Ashoka chakra, or the wheel of Dhamma. It represents the cosmic law of righteousness, progress, and this idea of perpetual, peaceful change. And this is where his legacy becomes truly undeniable. That very same wheel, the Ashoka chakra, sits at the heart of India's national flag today, a constant reminder of the moral and ethical path he championed over 2 millennia ago. So how did a tyrant become a symbol of peace? By confronting the horror of his own actions and choosing a different path. It's why the writer H.G. Wells said that among all the kings and emperors in history, the name of Ashoka shines almost alone, a star. He proved that the greatest conquest isn't over other people, but over yourself.